Okay, this is just going to be my last video about MF Ghost because I think this is the episode that actually just made me not want to watch the rest of the series. I got through about 20 minutes of this episode and then I just stopped watching it. It was just unbearable to watch. Well, okay, I'll stop being dramatic. It's not that it was unbearable to watch. I wasn't going to die, but it just wasn't good. And it's really sad because everyone else is like raving about the show, saying it's the best show on the planet, but I don't know how. Let's start off with how the episode started. So we left off in the midst of a race and they're about to go into lap 2. So Kanata is still in the GT86 and he's still driving. If they're going to introduce him as the main character, then I don't know why he is a main character because so far he's in the episode for like a total of like 3 scenes and probably less than 10% of the actual show's runtime because the show likes to focus and like the show likes to kind of like flip flop and like go focus on other characters that just aren't important for like I know the show isn't Initial D, and I know this isn't a popular opinion. I know the show is not Initial D, but if it's a sequel to a show that is just beloved for how it was done, then usually you would try and do something that was in like a better form of either it being refined from what it was before or do something different but better. This is definitely different, but to say that it's better is it's not. So we have our top 15 drivers. They're all, as far as I'm concerned, or anyone's concerned, or the show is concerned, I guess all of them are the main characters now. We're not just focusing on Kanata driving the GT86 as fast as possible. So that's, I mean, if, like, if it's not about this main character, then and it's not about like Takumi Fujiwara training him and all that stuff, then why even bring it up? Like, there's no point. They shouldn't have even been related to Initial D or take place in the same universe. It should have just been its own TV show that has nothing to do with the Initial D universe. I'm not really too sure what the writers were thinking here, considering they have to make dialogue and character arc development for like over 15 people essentially. Like I don't it's a lot to take in. It's not like Initial D where it's like, all right, Takumi's our main man and we got his 3 buddies and Ryosuke Takahashi's the main goal. Because it's like, oh, here's our next bad guy. All right, we beat him. Here's our next bad guy that's even worse. Oh, all right, we beat him. Oh, here's the next bad guy that's even worse. Oh, we beat him. And then now we get to the climax where it's like the ultimate guy, and then that's perfect because it like the stakes are getting higher and higher and higher every time. Takumi has to like learn how to develop his skills differently and it forces change like to character and then and the character arcs develop and you get little itty bitty character developments with the other characters that were the enemies eventually like before and now they're better. This show, it's just like they have a big focus on this pale skinned blonde guy because I guess he's going to be the one to beat and like he's the top dog, but he's just really pompous and arrogant. And yeah, he's a typical bad guy. Like, but the only problem is like he doesn't even like driving. He's so unenthused by it. It's just like if we're meant to stare at this character for so long because they're like almost like replacing our main character by staring at this enemy character more often than we are our main character, it's not enjoyable to watch him say every 5 seconds that he hates driving cars because it's just not fun. Like, there's nothing fun about that. And then when scenes like that are over, they cut to these angel girls, which are supposed to be the people who pull in the viewers because they wear skimpy clothes. And if done right, it's successful. But in this show, it's just weird. Like they're making a whole character arc about the girl, about these girls and their crushes over the drivers. And like there was like a shot of like the girl had to pull her underwear down from her ass, and like one of them was like underaged apparently, or overage, and saying she was 24 for like 8 years long or something like that. Like it's just unnecessary. Kind of just like who cares about these characters? I don't see what purpose they'll serve for the future. It's like they have their own. It's like there's so much going on that I'm not sure what to focus on. Whose character arc am I supposed to be looking for here? Is someone supposed to lose? Is someone supposed to win? From the looks of it, it doesn't really seem to matter who wins or loses because, quite frankly, I know everyone's going to hate me and go, oh, well, it's the GT86, so he has to win. It's like, from the way it looks now, it doesn't look like he's going to win at all. And if he does win, I'm not going to watch the show anymore because it just, I don't care enough anymore. And yeah, that's my personal opinion and preference, whatever. But the way that the pacing of the show is and where everything is just kind of hopping and skipping together with these characters, it's just unentertaining. But it gets worse. It gets worse. Takumi Fujiwara was written off screen to have quit racing. He quit racing. He raced for like he didn't have a career in it. Like Initial D at that point is just pointless. They made Initial D absolutely pointless. So this is what happened. And it's gonna like I don't people's comments on this are just like they're not like they're super mixed. Some are saying they did Takumi dirty, and then the other ones are defending the writers, and I don't know why. So in Initial D, there Takumi was the written up character of the entire story. It was mainly like, yeah, there were characters in there, and eventually they started adding more characters for more development. Takumi was always, 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 always the main focus. That's the only reason why anybody really watched the show was for Takumi. Yeah, there were some good side characters, but the main focus was always Takumi. There were so many hints. Takumi is going to be a famous driver one day. Takumi is going to be this. Takumi is going to be that. He's going to be unbeatable. And he was. And that was like the magic of his characters because he had to learn how to drive. They showed us how he learned how to drive. They showed us how trials and tribulations got to him. And they showed us how sorry, I thought someone just walked through the door in my house. I didn't know who it was. They showed us like his trials and tribulations and how he got there. Like he was unfamiliar with courses. His car wasn't adequate enough. He had to keep learning and changing his driving style to compensate because he didn't know. Like, yeah, he was naturally skilled because he's been doing it a long time, but he had to slowly learn how to change things and how to drive differently. And he lost. And he would not accept the facts that he would always accept it. Like the show, what was good about it is he never accepted the fact that he actually won certain races. Takumi had infinite amounts of plot armor, which made it seem like, oh, well, he's just to marry Sue. He's good at everything and will never lose. Here's the thing. All the characters in the show wanted to tell you, no, Takumi, you won. Regardless of how you did it, you won. But he was never satisfied with that. He won a race with his car broken because the other guy had to get out of his car and throw up because they've been going at it for so long. So, but he wasn't satisfied with that victory. He knew that his skills weren't good enough for him to win on his own, and he knows he keeps winning by a stroke of luck because he's driving a car that's inadequate versus the cars he's up against, and he knows that. But his mentality is that he's going to use the things that he has to his best advantage, and they can only upgrade his car so much as they've shown during the show, but his car definitely shows flaws. His technique is solid, but he was always a driver based on instincts, and whenever he won and he didn't feel like he won, he let us know. So he wasn't this type of like Mary Sue character, like, yeah, I'm good at everything I do. No, he didn't accept certain things about himself, and that's why he wanted to get better. The whole goal after stage 3 was he wanted to be a professional driver, and they built all this amazingness around it, and everything was great. Now let's go to NF Ghost, to what they did with his character. They killed him. They pretty much killed him off screen. They might have not have killed him, but they wrote him off. Like Initial D was all for nothing. Nobody has an imagination of what happened to him anymore. They said he got in an accident 2 years after he left Japan to go into the British racing scene, rally scene. He was a rally car driver. They even said that he had a really hard time driving rally cars on the dirt, but it was really easy for him to drive rally cars on the pavement, which doesn't make any sense because Takumi always seemed like he was proficient in driving on soft like roads or like snow or dirt or water. Like he always seemed proficient at it. So to say that he was fumbling when it came to him driving on dirt and he was only proficient him driving on asphalt was just a really weird thing to throw in as a comment. It's almost like belittling him for his abilities that he had developed this whole time. And this is what happened. They said he got in a serious accident rallying. He fell into a ravine and after that, he gave up racing. They didn't say if he was ever able to race again or that, any of these like things, he just said, well, he gave up racing. He quit. All of that character development of Initial D, all 5 stages, movies, little mini things, all of that, just to say after 2 years, he quit. They wrote him off saying he got into a fatal accident after 2 years. I don't believe it. I can't believe they took the most beloved character, the only reason why this show exists, and just made him pathetic. And everyone in the comments of the show on Crunchyroll, on Reddit, was saying, well, that's the risk that you take when you're a rally driver. You're going to get hurt. Injuries are going to happen. I'm aware of how dangerous rally driving is. You kill people in crowds, you kill yourself, you wrap yourself into a tree. But it was just the reason why he crashed is because the car's drive shaft broke. They said the car's drive shaft broke, which sent him spiraling into a ravine in England. I'm not too familiar with England's geographic, but how in the hell did he fall into a ravine? I just, like, and people are defending this. Like, yeah, that's how difficult rally driving is. And, just, I guess Takumi just wasn't good enough. That's literally the conclusion everyone's coming to because they don't want to accept the facts that they just completely destroyed our beloved character in the dirtiest way possible. Like, you should have said that he won the race against this amazing person and the car spontaneously combusted due to fuel line problems, but he still won because he pushed the car to the absolute limit and all this just hype him up and make him go out on top. They made him go out like a pathetic loser. Like, and they didn't say, they said he had pretty severe injuries. So it's like, okay, how severe? Could he not drive again? Because there are plenty of racers who have severe injuries who just can't get that itch of driving out of their system and need to continue how to drive and just relearn themselves, rehabilitate themselves to drive. Like, I'm just confused here. And the Kanata kid is trained by Takumi Fujiwara. It's just like you're shitting on our main man, the whole reason why this show exists, and then you keep just throwing in nostalgia trip with him. Another thing is they already knew that Takumi trained this kid. Like, they're making it sound like it's a big shock in the show, but everyone watching the show already knew that Kanata was trained by, even if you didn't read the manga, everyone knew Kanata was trained by Takumi. That was like, everyone knew, like, the show said it before, earlier in the writing, and then they're like, oh yeah, really? Takumi trained him? And then they were hyped about it. But they dedicated more time to the show of reminding us again that he was trained by Takumi Fujiwara. And then there was this one guy as the announcer, who I don't know his name, who said he raced him in the past. Now, I don't know who this character is. I'm just going based off my memory right now. If they said the name of the character, I'd be like, oh, okay, I remember who that is. But right now, I don't even know who that is. I don't even know who he looks like. It's just super sad and depressing. Another thing, they did a slipstream tactic on how to keep Kanata up and up to speed. Here's the thing. The end of the race is the long straightaway. He can't keep up with any of them unless he slipstreams at the straightaway right at the end. The only way I see this Porsche guy losing is if his car breaks halfway through the race. Because, like I said before, there's no way that a GT86 can go over 200 kilometers an hour. It's not modified like that. They show you pictures of the engines. It doesn't even have an air intake on it. It's stock. How is it getting that much speed? The rear gear of the car isn't even long enough to go 200 miles an hour almost. Like, I don't even understand how this is possible. This is a stretch. Yeah, Takumi was a stretch, 100%. But none of us took it as seriously as we did because we knew it was a stretch in its own sense. The whole story was based around these magical things happening. But they're trying to, like, they're actually, like, here's the thing. Initially, there was some shit that is just hard to believe. But there's some truth to it. A low-powered 8.6 going down a hill does have more momentum based to eventually catch up to its foes. It's true. It was even proven by the Drift King himself, Casey Tushia. Tushia? I don't know how to say his name. Where it was two 8.6s versus a GTR R32. The GTR's brakes, it was so heavy, the car was getting worn out, and the A86 started lapping it after a while because it was more agile and nimble, the brakes weren't fading, and he could eventually make up time endurance-wise. That same characteristic played on in the show. In this show, it's completely different. It's like the GT86, modern cars are not like older cars. I feel like older cars are older cars, and older cars are able to compete better. Just because of how they're mechanically set up, is the technology wasn't there. So yeah, the FD and the R32, the R32 had Hikis suspension. The FD was the ultimate cornering performance machine. But there was no special technology, not a whole lot of computer generated tactics. It was more even playing field. These modern cars, you're not going to win a race versus a Porsche I think it's a GT2 car. A Porsche GT2 car versus a GT86, you're high. And that is impossible. Uphill or downhill, any course you put those two cars on, the GT86 would never win. Ever. In any circumstance. That is like, I don't, the writers are really stretching it. Like the gutter run and stage 2 where he was versus Wateroo and passed him on dirt almost was a stretch. Like, this is a real stretch. Like, I don't know how they're able to do this without, like, it's just a silly concept. And at first, I thought it made sense. But the more and more I'm watching this shows, the more and more it's proving me wrong. Or proving me right. I mean, with the sense of that this is just doesn't make any sense. How? How is he able to keep up? This grip to weight ratio rule that Ryosuke Takahashi implemented seems to be the reason why. But it's just like, I think honestly the grip to weight ratio rule is bullshit. Because all you need to do is get on that straightaway and you win. This whole grip to weight ratio, because it doesn't make any sense. That rule, I don't think makes any sense. I don't know if that this is just if some prove this tactic to me, please, because maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know exactly how this grip to weight ratio rules. If this is an actual thing that's used in racing, somebody let me know. I've never heard of this in my life. Uh, it's such an interesting. Like you know what kind of brakes you would need on that GT86 in order to keep up with a GT2 car in an endurance race? Because that's pretty much what this race is. It's not a quick mountain pass. It's an endurance race. You're telling me a GT86 with a boxer engine would outperform a GT2 car with a boxer engine? It's just like, I don't see any of this happening. In an earlier episode, they were complaining about him wearing out the tires. So in literally the first second he started the race, he started drifting so he could warm them up faster. It doesn't make any sense. He's in an endurance race. He could have easily made up the time later. Is it an endurance race? I don't even know what it's a gym. I don't know what this is. This is like some weird. It's a time trial between Toge, not a time trial. It's a passing race between Toge, highway, street, like the circuit. It's like a bunch of different aspects thrown into the mix. It's supposed to be the best of every world, it looks like, but it just looks like a bunch of crap. I'm done watching this show. I don't really want to make any more videos about it, but yeah, that's it. It's just pretty bad. I don't feel like watching anymore. Everyone's gonna get mad at me in the comments for disagree with me, and that's fine. You can disagree, but you can't take this like look at the art design. It's like the last stage. It's like a more sharper, refined version of like the last stage of Initial D. I liked the last stage of Initial D more because of the pacing. It was a lot more fast paced in the races. These races look like real life. Now, why would I want to watch an anime about real life racing unless the show was supposed to be dedicated based on real life, kind of in the sense of in the Initial D universe? The Initial D years, like the Eurobeat doesn't match the pacing. Like it's supposed to be high intensity Eurobeat, but it's like an uneventful driving experience. Like there, it doesn't. No one's pushing the limits. Like I saw someone late brake. Like the guy in the Porsche was late braking, and he passed the other Porsche. Yippee! That was his whole tactic. He broke later than the other guy. There's like no epic, eventful moments that like changes the course of the race or how it goes. And yeah, it's only episode 6, but like this sucks. If this is how you're gonna set up your characters, it's pretty lame. Just throw them all in the mix, and I have to remember all of them. I don't know any of their names except for Kanata. I don't know any of their names, and I'm 6 episodes in. And people are going to say that I'm an idiot, and then, well, I'm just not. It's not Initial D. Stop comparing it, and that it's its own show, and that you're just illiterate because you can't understand words or names or whatever. But you can't tell me that this is anywhere near the quality of Initial D. I would have much rather seen Bunta as a prequel driving a Datsun or racing I don't know, an older car before the 86 came around because he based on the 86 and when it came out, he would have been in his 30s or something. I would have much rather see him drive other cars or something, beating like old Datsuns or an old Skyline or something like that. Like that seems more reasonable. This show is just shit. It sucks. They're following them with drones. It's just like the epitome of everything in modern day technology world that we like us as car enthusiasts are just so well, car enthusiasts like me are just so bored by, and yet people are looking at this show like it's a marvel, and it's just in my opinion anything but a marvel. It's just eye-soaringly numbing. It's so uneventful. I don't like the art style, the way that it was drawn. Just what is with the cringy the guy in the camera recording the angel's tits and recording her ass as she's changing the name on the board. And then we're supposed to have some deep connection to the girl that's supposed to be the main character's love interest saying, "Well, being an angel sure is tough." Like this might pass in Japan because that's just how like Japan isn't stricken by hopefully not by the wokeness of like America. So like doing shit with girls like that is probably normal there. But like nobody cares about these characters. Like so if you're like doing close-ups on their ass and their tits, it's just like what the hell? What am I watching right now? Am I watching a porno? Or I thought this was supposed to be about Kanata, our main protagonist, destroying everybody in a GT86. But he seems just as equally as skilled as everybody else. There's no main personality trait or advantage that it seems like he has over anybody else. Because if he has the skill level that he has driving that GT86, they should have just gave him a faster car, and the whole series would have been done in the second episode because he would have just beat everybody at the skill level he's at if they just gave him a better car. Like I don't understand the whole premise of this. Yes, they're trying to do another Takumi Fujiwara thing. Well, who do you get another Takumi Fujiwara from? Well, let's not create a totally original story with a no-name character who doesn't know what the hell is going on, or who does know what the hell is going on, but give him this grand character arc. No, the only one who can produce Takumi Fujiwara is Takumi Fujiwara himself. Because I guess everyone in this world is just so damn dull and not creative that we can't develop a character that isn't anything like Takumi in the slightest, but he can still be developed into a decent driver. Why can't we have a shit driver for once and him having to learn how to drive cars? Like, it's always the same stereotypical, like, he's the best at driving. It's like in any form of modern media now. It's like, oh, well, he's the best. Well, why is he the best? Well, because Takumi trained him. Oh, that sounds right. Takumi trained him. Of course he's the best. Well, I guess not, considering Takumi crashed and burned and almost fucking died. So I guess he's not the best now. So it just you're taking away the value of the character who was supposed to be the best. Like, I don't know. Like, is he good or is he not good? I don't understand the direction of the writing here. It's just lazy. It's so lazy. Instead of introducing our characters a little bit at a time, like nipple feeding it to me, because yeah, I might be a baby when it comes to how characters are developed. I don't want them to shove 3 gallons of milk down my throat. I just want to take it by the nipple and drink ounces at a time so I can understand what the fuck is going on. No, let's just throw every character we have into the mix. Bam! There are all your characters. Now understand them and learn about all of them. Like, Jesus, talk about anyone want to implement characters or you just want to throw them all in at once? How am I supposed to create this emotional attachment when there's so much crap going on that I don't know what's happening? Our main character has a screen time of like 3 minutes. It's just like empty scenes with nothing happening, driving in a straight line. Oh, it's yeah, it's the typical anime thing. It's he's fast. Oh, I gotta get around him as he pushes his glasses up over his nose, so all sophisticated. Like, it's moments like that. But if done well, it's well earned. That's what gives the anime lingo that pause and dramatic effect moment meaning. But it doesn't. It's so unearned and it's just boring to watch. It's the most uneventful race. Like, I feel like these races are filler episodes. They just seem like filler. They don't mean anything. It's just like, oh, well, Kanata was born as a cart driver. Yeah, where have I heard that before? So many, all cart drivers. It's like, yeah, can somebody come up with an original idea? Takumi was original idea. This character has nothing original about him. And fine, if he's not going to be original, at least make him good. Give him some struggle. He doesn't seem like anything's bothering him. Yeah, I want to call him a Mary Sue for at least for the first 6 episodes, because I'm not going to bother to watch the rest because I just don't like the way the show is right now. And it just, if I'm not hooked by the first 6 episodes, then I'm not going to continue to watch the show and make videos about the show. I don't know. This is just weird. Like, oh, alright, I'm done. I don't even feel like talking about it anymore. Alright, one more thing because I forgot to say it before. They called Takumi, his new name is called the Tragic Rallyist. We went from the Ghost of Akina, the 8-6 of Akina, the Downhill Specialist, the Tofu Shop 8-6, to the Tragic Rallyist. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.